From the chaos in Iowa last night to the triumphant tone from Trump tonight. Our panel of political experts is watching. David Frum, senior editor with The Atlantic, is here with me in Washington. Republican strategist Jay Shabria is in Columbus, Ohio. And Democratic strategist Tracy Seffel is joining us from Washington. So everyone, thank you for joining us. I just want to point out that as Trump's speech was ending, Nancy Pelosi appeared to rip and then throw away a copy of the speech. If you haven't seen it, you really should see this moment. Let's have a look.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
All right, David, let's start with you. Any surprises at the very visual divisiveness there?
Well, given that this may be the longest speech Donald Trump has yet given as president, and perhaps one of the top 3 longest speeches ever given by a president, I think Nancy Pelosi just showed really impressive forearm strength there.
Okay, not the answer I was expecting. Tracy, what about you?
Well, sitting behind the president as she did, I don't think she needs the paper copy to remember what just happened. That was an extraordinary speech filled with game show theatrics and some highly questionable assertions. And I think watching her face is a good barometer for how Democrats will be responding.
So given the week that this is, the Democratic disaster, that was Iowa, arguably, the Senate vote that's going to go Trump's way tomorrow. Jay, let's start with you on this one. Is this the speech you thought it would be?
Well, I don't know that you can ever expect a Donald Trump speech and be right on it, because there's always something different. There were some things that really surprised me. He's that reality talk show host. He's that guy that hosted that show, that hit show on NBC. And tonight what you saw was he was able to tug at the heartstrings a lot of times when he pointed to the gallery, when he pointed to military families that had lost a loved one. But then he also brought back a military man to reunite his family on live TV at a State of the Union. I don't know that I've ever seen something like that, and I'm sure that's going to go over very well. So look, he had lots of economic accomplishments he was touting. He had lots of partisanship, red meat for his base, and then he had these daytime talk show host theatrics, which I think is going to really play well.
Well, certainly Donald Trump understands the power of the medium. David, what about you? Is this a speech you thought you would hear?
Well, he's got a strong story to tell on the economy, and that's where he focused. He had some attempts at sort of some normal human moments. The speech in the, I think, final third really did follow, and this is the moment where the most partisan people are walking. It followed the line of his American carnage speech. Illegal aliens out there to kill you, endless wars. The speech turned quite dark in the last third. I think by then he had assumed that the regular viewers had stopped watching at the 1 hour mark.
Tracy, I'm curious about what it's like from your perspective, because this has not been a great week for Democrats. You were in Iowa. I imagine you knew last night that Republicans would seize on what has happened there and mock it. Now, we didn't hear that in the speech tonight, but how bad is it right now for Democrats?
Well, if there's one thing about Democrats, it's that we're used to the foibles and the fumbles, and last night was hugely unfortunate. There's no question. Now, was it some sort of catastrophic event? No, it wasn't. And the results will be in. I'm pretty sure the Constitution doesn't say anything about providing immediate results to cable news hosts. But you didn't quite know that watching coverage last night. It was, DEFCON situation. The results will come in. The problems will get fixed. It was human error, and it's most unfortunate. What I saw in Iowa was a really vibrant Democratic caucus with hundreds of people at the various precincts, excited and energized and really appreciating their moment as Iowans to do that unique and authentic caucusing. So there's really 2 storylines, what happened on the ground and the hysteria with which people have responded. There definitely was a problem and a mistake, and things will be fixed. But life goes on. Democrats know what happened last night is not in any way indicative of our losing focus on November and the goal to replace Donald Trump with a Democrat in the White House.
So I think
Adrienne,
one of the things that was, go ahead, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, see, and I appreciate Tracy's spin on this, but I don't know that Democrats ever had focus on the White House. I don't know that they've actually really focused on it. I think they've made tactical errors by going after Donald Trump on impeachment, which was appeasing to their base, but not really smart in terms of taking back the White House. Last night was an opportunity to showcase their message and to start to winnow their field. They lost that opportunity. And now they're in a news cycle where the president controls it again with this speech, which is largely pro-America, and now they're going to have to be seen as people that are cheering against American success. I don't know that the Democrats have ever had focus, and that's going to be the problem for them in November.
I have to say, one of the candidates, Bernie Sanders in this case, who quite likely will emerge victorious out of Iowa, his signs, I have to share this with your viewers, it was really interesting. They simply had 3 words on them, and it said, "Bernie beats Trump." And that was it. That's all his signs said. And I think that shows some focus right there. And certainly these few days, this week, is an extraordinary conflation of, or a perfect storm of events, if you will. And I have no doubt that there will be, the sort of quirks that will come of this, and people will all too happily point to Iowa as somehow the crumbling of the Democratic Party. And I can assure your viewers that isn't the case. Unfortunate, crazy timing. Everything that's happening this week, frankly, is unprecedented and crazy in its compression.
So I just want to say one thing. It is Washington. It is incredibly loud. There's always a sense of urgency here. Important people are always on the move. But I do want to get back to that State of the Union speech for a moment, because the president did not go there in the sense of mocking the Democrats or what happened last night, but he certainly went there in terms of being exceptionally boastful about what he has done. And I think we have a clip of him basically crowing about what he's accomplished. Can we have a listen to that?
Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plummeting, crime is falling, confidence is surging, and our country is thriving and highly respected again.
Okay, so we don't have much time left. I just want to get to you, David, on this point. You have written State of the Union speeches. Is that standard for the toolkit, or is that unusual hyperbole?
It's unusual because it's so exaggerated, because it's so weakly based in fact. What I think is really striking about the speech is how little it talked about the future. Normally what you do in a State of the Union address is, yes, a president takes credit where there's credit to be taken, but a president also gives an affirmative vision of what the president is like to do. When Donald Trump says things like the best is yet to come, what he's revealing is how vague he is. This is actually, in terms of things he's got done that he personally did, this is the thinnest record of accomplishment of any first-term president, and he has even fewer ideas for a second term.
On that point, this is just the last question to everyone here. Is there any reason to believe that we are not looking, you won't like this, Tracy, but that we are not looking at anything other than a two-term president? Tracy, let's start with you.
Well, certainly that is what Democrats hope does not happen. I'm happy to give Trump credit for his oversimplification and connecting with the audience by the simple noun-verb construct that he used there. I appreciate that, and I know that it resonates. Unfortunately, it was full of mistruths, exaggerations, and crazy overstatements. The Democrats, it's incumbent upon us to unpack that, but to do so in a way that is speaking at that same level. Trump's gift, if you will, is to speak at that very basic level. Democrats know that he was saying things that simply weren't true. All you had to do was look at Speaker Pelosi's face, and you could recognize every time he would strike a chord that was completely dissonant, she would react accordingly. And so it's incumbent upon the Democrats to make sense of that, but to do it in a way that is straightforward and convincing, and frankly reinforces that Democrats will not only be attentive to the growth in this economy, but ensure the security for working families. This isn't about Wall Street. This isn't about pharma. This is about working families.
I'm going to have to jump in there, Tracy, all of you. I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut it off here. David Frum, Jay Shabria, Tracy Seffel, thank you very much for joining us.